bit of a rush because I have to leave in about 2 hours to go and fly to Norway for the weekend, for a quick weekend with my wife. And I really wanted to get a video out before then. And I thought, what better than like a real rough and ready comparison between two like really edgy rock and roll guitars from my perspective. You know, I'm in this sort of huge rush. I haven't even packed yet, nothing. And I want to film, edit and get this out. So if it's not finished by then, it will be a part 1 and there'll be like an abrupt. Okay, this is, I think it's a really cool guitar. It's a rock and roll Relics, like double cut junior. Now it came with a hand wired pickup that was actually really cool. It was very sort of slightly more modern rock. This I've put in a Lola dog ear P90 that's more vintage in style, which I'm really enjoying, but I do want to do a video where I compare the two pickups just out of interest. I've always wanted a double cut. No, it's actually not true at all. I used to hate double cuts. I thought they were like the most hideous guitar until at a guitar show last year, I saw an original 59 TV yellow one in person, held it, played it, and just thought, actually, it's really cool. I've discovered a few people have that same issue. Didn't like it to begin with, and then touch it, play it, feel it. It's also, this is probably the lightest guitar I own. I don't know how much it weighs, but everyone who picks it up is like, huh, this is like, you know, like cardboard. But it's resonant, it's great, I love it. Now, this one, you might be familiar if you followed the channel recently. I did a mod on here. It already had this horrible route. I had to do some work to fix it up, but it's still horrible. Not done by Danocaster, who made this guitar, done by a previous owner. I put a humbucker in there, quite liked it, decided actually this is not a Les Paul. I don't want to play it like a Les Paul. I've got something that I want to play like a Les Paul, so I want to make this an Esquire. I'm waiting on a guard that's going to cover up this lovely mess. We'll see if I actually put it on. But what we have here is a Ron Ellis broadcaster pickup, and I've just disconnected the other wiring, and it's an Esquire. And I don't know which guitar I think is more interesting or cooler or better to play, and that's what I want to discover in this video. So you've already heard them at the beginning. My brief impression on that is that through this amp here, which I've made recently for a friend, this is a tweed sort of thing, that they were quite similar. I've set the amp hot, like it's pretty overdriven, got the mids turned up. If you turn them all the way down, it's scooped like a Princeton. If you like a blackface Princeton, turn it all the way up like this, it's like a deluxe, you know, or a tweed amp, let's say. And I've got it running through a 3x10 cab because I'm currently obsessed with the 3x10 Bandmaster from like the late 50s, which Joe Walsh used a lot, or uses a lot. And I wanted to see what that felt like, and it's really cool. I love it. So we're probably going to stick with this amp, at least in part 1 of this video. I think there's going to be a part 2, because this is such a brilliant topic, I think. Let's hear a bit more of it, and then I'm going to kick in a fuzz pedal. And actually, this is like one of the few fuzz pedals, what should we say? Fuzz pedals du jour? Nah, that's too nice of a term. It's a stinking hot fuzz pedal. That Haze 67 pedal from Islotone is really cool, and don't worry, there's going to be some content on that in the next week or two. A friend of mine has lent it to me, along with this other very cool pedal, which is almost impossible to get hold of, along with the Islotone, but they do come up, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. For now, I think I've had enough of this beautiful tweedy sound. We want to hear what it's like in something more like the classic Reverb. Sort of like a more pushed blackface sound, and then we're going to do like a Vox AC30, which may or may not be in this video. Let's get that amp on, hear what it sounds like. Probably tell you what I think so far. Well, in the whole sort of pantheon of guitar sounds, they're pretty similar, aren't they? I'd say the P90's hotter. I'm having to roll back the volume a bit more. I've set the amp the same for both, which means maybe it's not best for either, and I set it using the Esquire. So maybe it's slightly better for that, bit more balanced. The P90, the DC has a little bit more low end, I'd say. And the Telecaster scale length's a bit more spanky, so maybe you get a bit more clarity. But I'm enjoying playing both of them. The Esquire, I think probably just pipping it at the moment for that sound. But actually, either would make me very happy for this sort of like slightly heavier rock and roll sort of thing that I'm trying here. But let's see what it's like with a different style, maybe a bit more bluesy. And maybe we'll use a pedal or two for that. So slightly surprisingly to me, I definitely preferred playing the Junior there than the Esquire. The Junior just has like sort of more depth to it, more meat, more lower mids, a bit more sustain. It's just a bit bigger. You can play lead more easily. I'd have to set the amp differently for the Esquire than the Junior. So it possibly makes sense to start doing that going forward. Esquire versus Junior. Set the amp correct for the guitar, because otherwise it's not really comparing which is best for you. It's just comparing them in a sort of random situation. So I think we'll do that. But there's something about the shorter scale length, which for lead lines makes it just a bit more, well, less snappy. For blues, it's great. For country, the Esquire would make so much sense. I can imagine Brad Paisley having a great time on an Esquire. But I think for that, the Junior was perfect. So, where should we go next?